in a mountain village where fog lingers over the fields at dawn. A young nurse named Lena worked at a small community clinic. To strangers, her job looked simple. To her, it was a string of long days, too many patients, not enough medicine, and the quiet fatigue that waited for her every night. She fell asleep to a familiar chorus in her mind. If only I had more money. If only I lived somewhere else. If only my life were different. She believed peace was a destination outside herself, some other city, some other job, some other hand to hold. One afternoon, rain struck the tin roof like fists. A boy burst through the clinic door, breathless, asking for help. Lena shrugged on her raincoat and slogged down the muddy path to the river. An elderly woman lay unconscious under a torn plastic sheet. Lena checked her pulse, stabilized her, and with the villagers' help carried her back through the storm. Hours later, the woman woke and squeezed Lena's fingers, whispering thank you. From that touch, thin, warm, unwavering, a small light sparked in Lena's chest, a hush she hadn't felt in a long time. The mornings that followed arrived with details she'd always missed: a rooster's stubborn crow, the head nurse's coffee drifting down the hall, children racing past the window calling out her name. Then, as quickly as it came, her quiet faltered. A message lit her phone. The man who once promised her forever was getting married. She didn't cry. She simply sat beneath the eaves and watched the rain unspool from the roof, asking the dark what her life was even for. Before sunrise, she walked to the river. The water was the color of coined silver. Wind polished its surface into small, bright scales. An old ferryman patched a net and hummed an old folk tune. Lena stopped and asked if rowing the same stretch of water every day ever made him lonely. He smiled, lines deepening like slow currents, and said that loneliness had its uses. Years ago, he told her, he complained about everything: work, luck, the way life bruised him. Then a storm flipped his boat in the middle of the night. In the thin edge between breath and water, he made a quiet vow: if he lived, he would stop complaining. He lived, and ever since, every morning he woke and thought, I'm alive. That's already enough. Wind moved across the river, and a sentence settled inside her without sound. Peace wasn't in the city, nor in a promise kept, nor in a paycheck. It lived where she placed her gaze. It began when she stopped treating the world as something out to break her. She didn't try to find peace after that. She practiced noticing it. She spoke softly to the old men who flinched at needles. When supplies ran short, she asked for help instead of swallowing anger. She tightened the screws on a wobbly table at home and planted yellow mums on the porch. The village did not change. Her way of touching it did. Rain no longer sounded like complaint, only a metronome that steadied the room. One evening she met the ferryman again. He asked if she felt more at ease these days. She said yes, not because life had grown gentle, but because she had stopped reading everything as a threat. He nodded as if he'd been waiting for that answer. The world was the world. He said, only the heart changes its weather. Back at the water's edge, sunlight broke into coins across the surface. The river couldn't promise anyone a calm season, yet it moved with a confidence that didn't need promises. Lena whispered to herself that peace doesn't arrive when the world goes quiet. It arrives when the heart learns how. From the bridge, children laughed. A narrow boat drifted past, a single cloud thin to lace. Nothing was new except the way she looked. That night, she lit a candle and opened the window to the damp scent of earth. In a small notebook she wrote, "The world didn't change today. I just stopped asking it to be kind to me first." She closed the book and leaned her forehead against the cool wood of the frame. Outside, crickets worked their tiny violins, an old song she hadn't remembered in years. Morning came late, veiled in mist. She poured tea and watched the yellow mums yawn open. Far away, the city still roared. Close by, the hairline crack in her wall was still there. Between the two, she placed a rest, a quiet mark in the measure of her day. The answer wasn't loud or bright. It was a single, generous breath. She slipped on her jacket and walked the path back to the clinic. The river kept going, making no promises at all. Inside her, a promise had been kept instead, to see the day with gentler eyes. Soon enough, the busyness would return, and hard news might knock again. But Lena knew the way back now, hand to her chest. Listening to the proof of her own life, remembering that peace doesn't come from outside. It begins in how she names each moment as it passes.